Jeremy Clarkson is not afraid to voice his opinions to the Labor administration because, as a farmer, he has been impacted as well. We'll go over what was said as well as all of the most recent news from across the nation, but first hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and join our rapidly expanding community. Many protests were planned after Rachel Reeves and STA raised taxes and attacked our backbone, but they were reportedly blocked. Now, Clarkson has unleashed a furious tirade. Just a brief note to let you know that we have fresh Stuck Farmer t-shirts in stock. You can get them right now at British.com or by clicking the link in the description. After asserting that farmers have been prevented from participating in protests against Labour's hateful tract attacks in the capital, Jeremy Clarkson has gone on a tirade. The celebrity disclosed that he has reserved a coach to go to London and participate in a rally scheduled for November 19 alongside farmers from the Cotswolds. The event follows Chancellor Rachel Reeves' 20% inheritance tax levy. Previously exempt family farms worth above $1 million from April 2026, the Treasury has stated that the change will only impact 27% of farms, while the NFU National Farming Union has asserted that the number was closer to 66% while the rally is still scheduled. In a lengthy tirade, Clarkson stated that his plans to attend had been postponed and expressed his ire that pro-Palestine and Just Stop Oil demonstrations were still taking place. Writing in The Sun, Clarkson wrote, "Perhaps if I had draped my tractor in a Palestinian flag, it would have been different. It seems that if you are from Just Stop Oil or protesting about Gaza, you can do whatever you want, but farmers are treated differently by a government that is waging an all-out war on the countryside, so we wanted to protest in a dignified and reasonable manner, which is why I had reserved the coach rather than causing chaos with tractors and farming vehicles. Although I am in a fortunate position, I feel terrible for other farmers who are furious and worried about the future. The NFU has stated that they don't want to interfere with people's lives, but I have very good authority that they have been instructed to do so." According to a memo that the NFU sent out on Wednesday, legal issues have slowed down proceedings, it allegedly stated. "Due to legal concerns, we cannot just show up in large numbers in Westminster streets or open spaces. We cannot jeopardize the safety of our members or the public, or the potential loss of public support that could result from an illegal demonstration." The union has stated that this is simply not the case, with a spokeswoman stating that no restrictions have been placed on the NFU that would restrict our operations in London. "Our choice to keep our mass lobby event on November 19 focused on MPP engagement is consistent with the goal of our event. As a lobby, our event is not and has never been a protest, and we are working with the police, the venue, and other parties to handle the logistical needs for our lobby. This is typical for events of this size, and there are no legal issues preventing our event, and the NFU is not supporting or involved in any protests or rallies in London on this subject." The union also disclosed that the event is already full and asked that no new Foreign Secretary David Lammy has stated that he will try to warn Donald Trump that hurting the UK by raising tariffs is not in his best interests. This comes as there are worries about potential tensions with the incoming president, whose pledge to raise tariffs on imports into the US could hit the UK economy. The president-elect has stated that he wants to increase tariffs on goods imported from around the world by 10%, rising to 60% on items from China. Farmers should travel to participate, unless they have been registered in some other news. When asked if he would look for a special trade agreement with the US to avoid the tariffs on UK imports, Lammy told the BBC that he was quite impressed by the Trump campaign when he met them on a trip to the US earlier this year. He said, "We will seek to ensure and to get across to the United States, and I believe that they would understand this, that hurting your closest allies cannot be in your medium or long-term interests. Whatever the pursuit of public policy in relation to some of the problems posed by China comes as Lammy has called his earlier statements that Trump is a deluded, dishonest, xenophobic, narcissistic, and neo-Nazi sympathizing sociopath old news." He also stated that it would be difficult to find a politician who had not said some pretty ripe things about Trump. The Foreign Secretary acknowledged that Trump did not bring them up during their September meeting. Lamy also stated that he had a gut feeling that another Trump presidency was possible, but added that a state visit in the following year would be a bit of a tall order as they take time to organize a new conservative leader. Senior labor leaders' remarks on the president-elect have drawn criticism from Kentucky Bardino, but Chancellor Rachel Reeves attempted to play. In the run-up to the 2016 presidential election, J.D. Vance was a public critic of Trump, calling the Republican businessman an idiot and saying he was reprehensible. However, Lamy's previous criticism would have pointed out that Vance had used choice words about Trump himself but was still selected as his running mate. Reeves said, "Look, the U.S. Vice President-elect has used some controversial language about the President-elect in the past, but the point is that those remarks were in the past and have worried Europe's leaders." President-elect Trump has also complained about U.S. tax dollars funding European security and has been very critical about NATO members not spending enough prime ministerial. According to Keir Starmer, increasing defense spending to 2.5% maintains the government's promise but did not specify a deadline for achieving it. Nigel Farage has predicted that Ed Miliband's push to decarbonize electricity production will cause more electoral damage to Labour than the numbers crossing the channel. Finally, Trump has begun to appoint his top team for when he assumes the presidency in January, appointing his campaign co-chairwoman Susie W.S. as his White House chief of staff. According to Nigel Farage, we're seeing our old friend Ed Miliband again. I'm not sure whether you've noticed, but there are a lot of channel crossings right now because of the extremely calm weather. A report out from the National Energy System Operator making very clear that when it comes to the plan for zero carbon electricity by 2030, the one thing we will need is gas. Even though gas at the moment is only 5% of our supply, there are days when the wind doesn't blow, it's up to 50%, and there is a massive problem here, which is most of our gas plants are coming towards the end of their lives. Add to that another report out saying that the only possible way we can get is if we start using less electricity when they start to use demand pricing even more than they do now, or you simply can't afford to put the lights on of an evening. And I'm going to argue that all of this is for the birds, because we're actually not going to make the targets anyway. Our electricity bills are already for our manufacturers the most expensive in the world. I completely understand there are a majority of the country who are worried about the environment. A vast majority of the under 40s really think global warming is a dreadful problem, but what Miliband is trying to do, it can't be done, and it's doing too much damage. Looking at the strike price that have been done for the new offshore and onshore wind projects, I think electricity prices will be a lot higher in a few years. What do you think about what we covered in today's video? If you haven't already, please make sure to like this video. Ed Miliband's ambitions are not even net a zero carbon electricity system. I believe that this policy will cause more harm than the numbers crossing the English Channel. The government's promise to cut bills by £300 when they will likely go up a lot is going to cause huge harm. For more British political content, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and be careful. Goodbye.